Chapter 39 Losing and Finding. Selina Auntie assigned me and Arul the job of doing the dishes together. For months, we didn't talk as much as we worked side by side in the kitchen. But one evening, Arul finally broke the silence. He asked how I was doing, and when, as usual, I said, "Fine," he wouldn't let me get away with it. "No," he said, "you're not fine, Viji." I said nothing. "Talk to me," he said. "Let me help." "I don't need your help," I growled. Arul sighed. "Sulking and being rude to people who care about you isn't going to make life any easier." "Since when," I said, "has life been easy?" "Since now." Arul let a dish clatter into the sink. "Some things are easier here than on the bridge, in spite of all that's happened, and you have to stop feeling sorry for yourself." "I don't just sulk." I shocked myself by shouting for the first time since your passing. "I do every chore I'm given. I clean. I sit in the classroom. I eat. I sleep." "You don't look like you've been sleeping much." "That's because Ruku's gone, Arul. She's gone because of me. If I hadn't forced her to leave home, if I hadn't come here with you, she'd never have enjoyed the good times we had, and we had so many good times, Viji. I should never have run away. What choice did you have? I've heard of parents who beat their kids to death. Who knows what your father might have done? You tried your best. It's my fault Ruku died." "Your fault? You couldn't see that far into the future. If you're to blame, we are too. If I'd believed when you were scared the waste mark man would come after us, we might have been forced to live in that mosquito-infested graveyard. If Muthu hadn't scared you off from Selina Auntie, you might have come here sooner." He couldn't comfort me. I banged the pan against the sink. "I want her back." "Stop it." Arul yanked the pan out of my hands. "I miss her too. So does Muthu. She was not your sister. She was mine. Now I have no one." "You're no more alone than Muthu and I are," Arul yelled. "If you choose to drown in loneliness, go ahead. But don't claim she wasn't our sister. We're not just friends. We're family." The loudness of his tone shocked me. "Start looking at what you haven't lost," Arul said. "Start giving thanks for what you do have." "Thanks?" An odd snort left my lips. "That's all you ever do. If someone came to stab you, you'd probably thank them too, wouldn't you? But there's nothing to be thankful about." "Yes, there is," he said, taking my soapy hands in his. "You're here in this home with a chance to do something with your life. You have Selina Auntie. You have me. You have Muthu. Most of all, you have yourself." "Myself?" "Yes, and now you've been angry and raised your voice again. You'll feel better. Just wait and see." He was right. When I left the kitchen that night, I found I actually wanted to write to you for the first time. Easter came, and I finally agreed to visit your grave with Arul and Muthu. On your stone, instead of flowers, I laid one of the chocolate Easter eggs Selina Auntie had given us. "She'd have loved that," Muthu said, "sweet, gooey, and wrapped in green foil, her favorite color." "I'm sure she'd have loved the flowers you always leave for her, too," I said. As we left the cemetery where you'd been buried, Arul said Easter was about new beginnings, but some things will never change, Ruku. You'll never be back. Chapter 40 Hope. "I'm going to visit a place I'd love for you to see," Selina Auntie told me the next day. "So you're excused from attending lessons." I shrugged like it didn't matter one way or the other, but I felt myself flush with pleasure. She'd chosen me to go somewhere with her, a special treat. She drove us to a white bungalow, 3 stories high, an oasis of calm in the midst of all the noise and bustle. Selina Auntie smiled as she parked the car. "This is a school for children like Ruku." "Children like Ruku?" Anger spurted out of me. "No one's like Ruku," I yelled. "No one." "Viji, I put that very badly." Selina Auntie bit her lip. "There's no one in the world like your sister. I didn't mean those words to sound the way they did. I'm sorry." I screwed up my eyelids tight so no tears would fall out. "I have a sister, Viji, a sister with a disability." My eyes flew open. We're We never were as poor as the two of you, but we weren't rich either. She came to this school. It's a school for young people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. For a while, I said nothing, but her words were a key opening my locked heart. Where's your sister now, Selina Auntie? She works at a print shop. She used to have her own little place at the end of the city, but recently she got married and moved further away. We meet as often as we can. Will you take me to see your sister sometime? Sure. Now, are you ready to go in, VG? Yes. And I'm sorry for yelling. Everyone in the building greeted us with smiles and vanakkams. Everyone seemed to know who and like Selina Auntie. We were shown into an office. Sitting behind a desk beneath a picture of the Hindu god Ganesha was a wiry young woman. She sprang up and pressed her palms together in greeting. VG, this is the director, Selina Auntie said. Dr. Dunham. Call me Dunham Auntie. VG, come. Let me show you around. We followed Dunham Auntie into the sunny, high-ceilinged room. We stayed by the door, peeking in. A boy around my age sprawled across the floor, drawing on a large sheet of paper. A little girl of maybe 7 or 8 was playing with colored blocks in the center of the room. A few children of all ages sat on straw mats on a floor, listening to a silver-haired teacher who sat cross-legged, reading aloud from a picture book. Some of the children looked up at me curiously. You could have been among them. You could have been here, at this school, learning from teachers who pay proper attention to you. A silent flood of tears rushed down my cheeks. No one seemed to notice I was crying, except the girl with the blocks, who marched over to me. Don't cry, she commanded. Come play with me. Thanks, I said to her, trying to swallow my sobs and hold my voice steady. I'll come and play for a bit. Why are you thanking me? Her forehead wrinkled in the confusion. I didn't give you anything. I was sad. You made me feel better. I made you better? Her face glowed like the moon, and her plump cheeks dimpled. I made her better, she announced to Damanani. Who is she anyway? This is VG, Selina Auntie said. I'm Lalitha. Come. Lalitha took me by the hand and led me to a shelf full of painting supplies. Let's paint, she decided. We must put newspaper on the floor so it doesn't get messy. The two of us spread out the paper and we started working. At least I did. Lalitha selected a brush and chewed on its end thoughtfully. I dipped my brush in the paint and tried to draw a yellow circle for the sun. Lalitha was watching, which made me nervous because I wasn't the best painter. The lines I drew for the sun's rays came out pretty wobbly. I dropped a bit of blue paint on the bottom by accident, so I smeared it across and made a river. Across it, I painted a bridge. On the bridge, I painted 4 stick figures. What's that? Lalitha put her finger on one of the figures. A person, I said. You are a person. I'm a person. She wagged her finger at me. This is not a person. It's the best I can do. What are you going to paint? I can paint well, Lalitha said. Watch. She switched her brush around on the paper, making a great yellow blob at the top right corner. Is that the sun? I asked. No, VG. The sun is outside. This is a big yellow dot. Right, I smiled. So we painted dots and lines in all kinds of shapes. We made a mess, just as we had had just as much fun cleaning up, skating the wet floor after we'd mopped. That was the best painting class ever, I told Lalitha when it was time for me to leave. Thanks. Come back, she said. I'll teach you some more. On the way home, I asked Selina Auntie, can I go back there again? Maybe work at the school? Sure, Selina Auntie said, and I may be able to arrange for you to assist the teachers when they need an extra hand. Maybe help with reading or writing or art. Maybe someday you could even teach there. Since you'd been gone, I hadn't given any thought to my dream of becoming a teacher. Selina Auntie's words made my dream glimmer again, faint and far away, but not lost.